First, let's talk about the story. The plot of the Walking Dead game doesn't take place during the comics or the television show. It actually takes place none of these places because it's a completely different story with a completely different main character. Here you play a character named Lee, who is a convict being driven to a prison. After a little conversation with the police officer driving him, they suddenly crash into someone and Lee is left unconscious. When Lee wakes up, he gets out of the crushed car and finds the officer dead. Uh-oh. But before Lee can actually escape, the officer gets up and he's a zombie and attacks Lee. Lee gets the officer's shotgun and blam, right in the head. Many more of these undead creatures come out because of course the loud shotgun attracted them and attack Lee, but Lee manages to escape just in time. After that, he actually finds a little girl named Clementine in a treehouse and takes her as his own because of course her family's probably dead and he's a good soul. Even though he's a criminal, he's a good soul. The story from there on will find Lee and Clementine meeting other survivors and making very difficult choices. Overall, I thought the story for the first episode of this series was fantastic. The characters were really likable and the writing was typical Telltale dialogue, which means it was fantastic. Also, all the different choices you can make really makes you want to see what will happen differently in certain parts. The story in this game is absolutely fantastic and I can't wait for episode 2. Let's go on to the sound. Now let's talk about the sound. Telltale knows how to cast their voice actors, and here it is no different. The voice acting in this game is absolutely fantastic, with all the actors doing a great job of portraying each one of their characters. When there's a specific emotion like, anger, sadness, that has to be brought out, then the actors do it perfectly in this game. Now, the sound design is good, but nothing like extraordinary. I mean, you hear zombie moans, you have some gunfire here and there, all that good stuff, but it's not amazing. And the soundtrack is good, but there isn't much there in terms of music. I mean, that actually makes the game more atmospheric because there's not much, sound. It makes it actually more creepy, but for the most part, there's really just nothing for the soundtrack. So, overall, the sound is great just because of the voice acting. Let's go on to the graphics. Now the graphics. Telltale knows that they don't make the most compelling games to look at. I mean, Jurassic Park the game was very fugly looking, and even Back to the Future didn't look all that great. So what they did here is made the graphics very comic book and cel shaded, which I loved. I really thought that was cool. And I love the way they actually implemented some of the comic book stuff into the graphics, like the way some of the backgrounds look like they're like flat and straight out of a comic book, and how the character models would have these black shading lines just like a comic book would have. I thought those were really, really cool. Even though I think the cel shading on all the characters and even all the environments look really, really good, I thought some of them weren't all that great. Like, I thought they could have did better with the zombies because the zombies don't look all that great and a lot of them look exactly the same as others, and really the animations for some of the zombies and even some of the characters are very wonky looking, so I thought they could have worked on that and the character models for the zombies. But for the most part, Telltale did something really unique with these graphics, and I thought it worked out completely with this game so far because this is only episode 1. They might screw it up with episode 2, 3, 4, and 5, but for now, the graphics are really, really damn good. Let's go on to the gameplay. Now the gameplay, and this is where a lot of people are going to get disheartened because this game isn't about just going around blowing up zombies' heads, cutting their heads off and stuff. If you want a game like that, go play Dead Island or go play Left 4 Dead because this isn't your game, because this is more a character-driven, dialogue-filled game because most of the stuff you do here is talk to people and try to build relationships. And like I said before, the dialogue and the voice acting in this game is absolutely fantastic, and it's really, really entertaining just to listen to all these characters talk about their backstories and just fill you in on who they are and stuff, and I really enjoy that. Just go around and talk to a bunch of survivors. Hell, I'll do that. I love doing that in other games, so I'll do it in this one, but only if the dialogue is great, and luckily the dialogue is great in this game. But of course, the dialogue and talking to people and learning about them isn't the only thing you do in the game. There'll be times where you have to go and find the keys to a door, and you have to go actually scope them out and look through the environment and see if you can find stuff. There'll be times where you have to like solve some kind of a puzzle, like find out how the zombies can get away from a door so you can get through it and get something else. There'll be times where a zombie will attack you and you have to do some context-sensitive button presses to get him off of you or to run away from him before he bites you, and it causes for some tense scenes when you have to do stuff like that. And I know many people out there, oh, context sensitive button presses, I hate those. Well, come on, man. If you like God of War, then shut up. There's plenty of those in there too. And also the last part of the gameplay is the choice making in the game, because there will be times where you have to actually make a really difficult choice on who to save or who to help out at a certain time, and it can actually really come into play later on in the next episodes, or it can actually come into play later on in the game of this episode. And I thought it was really cool. It actually changes up the gameplay a lot and actually adds a lot of replayability. So if you had the bad taste of Jurassic Park still stuck in your mouth, then go and purchase this game, because this one is easily better than Jurassic Park so far, and I highly recommend it for anybody that's a big zombie fan or Walking Dead fan. So anyway, there you go, there's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and goodbye.